quality, harmonizing, and structured, right? Are those the same thing? And what does that mean, and why does that matter? Actually, just for the audience, so that just in case there are individuals out there that are not familiar of how real world evidence studies are conducted, perhaps this would be helpful for that.
Sure. So, I think that they're all similar. They ensure a good product. I think for people who are familiar with systematic reviews and meta-analyses, people often say, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have any studies that are good to pool in the first place, you don't get a very good pooled result at the end if all the studies were flawed or the data weren't collected properly. So the same is true with real world evidence. You want to know that when you're asking a question, the answer that you get is as close to the truth as possible. So, for example, let's say I have a database and a colleague has a database, and I've collected smoking data and I've done the work to make sure that it's as accurate as possible, checked with patient report, had double verification, whatever it is, and somebody else has not done it. Then when we pool that and we talk about the outcomes for smokers, only half the data is actually useful. So then you have to say, okay, what are we going to do with the missing data in the other database? How are we going to do the analyses, and what are the strengths for combining versus splitting? Can this other team go back and add smoking data? Do we use the same definitions? I call a non-smoker someone who's had less than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime. Maybe they call a non-smoker something different. And so then if we're looking for biologic trends, we want to make sure we identified and define things the same way, so that we can then merge our data sets and they can be reliable. So that's sort of what I mean by sort of quality. You make sure it's accurate, and as detailed as possible. Harmonizing, make sure that you're measuring the same thing, you're defining the same thing, you're expressing it the same way. So that ability to harmonize. That's sort of what I mean by quality and harmonization. So they're very similar, but they're all about making the data as similar as possible in terms of how we collect, how we define, how we report, so that we can pool it and come up with a good answer. None of this garbage in, garbage out.